Welcome to Masters of, the podcast where we have conversations with people solving the toughest, most interesting problems for big content websites. From government to education to healthcare, banking, and more. We're talking to marketing and web leaders that connect the digital user experience to their mission. We're giving the masters the mic to hear their stories. Join us to learn how they do it.
We're back here once again with another episode of Masters of. By Cludo. We're doing a special episode today. We've got Brian Thomas from Blaze Credit Union in the Cludo North America headquarters here. So we're on an in-person podcast. Super excited about that. Brian, thank you for joining us in person.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Great. So let's just jump right into it. I think our main premise is to understand how marketers and web professionals are making the most of their websites and the content that they have. But let's start from the very beginning. Let's hear a little bit about you, a little bit, maybe your path to Blaze Credit Union, and get your story.
Yeah, so I am the digital marketing director at Blaze Credit Union. I've been there about 7 years, and my path was very untraditional. I went to University of St. Thomas here in Minnesota and did not study marketing. Marketing I thought was kind of a hobby. Like I always liked putting graphics together, and I taught myself how to build websites. And when my friends would get their iPhones, they would throw them at me and they here figure this out. And I was kind of like the techie guy, and I just never thought of it as a career path, especially something that I'd be really good at. Still stuff that I didn't realize people didn't have. And so it took me probably longer than it should have to figure out that I should do marketing. I mean, that fell into it. Marketing's always been a piece of other jobs. I have an event background. I've worked in healthcare IT, but it had never really been part of my title until I came to Blaze. And I've really enjoyed it, and it just feels natural for me now, and it's something that I'm really passionate about doing.
Yeah, great. So 7 years at Blaze, and I know there's been a lot of twists and turns. We'll get into some of that over time. I guess from the beginning of your time as a marketing person, was it always oriented towards digital? Has it always been in the digital realm, or
a little bit of both? It's so funny, and this will date me, but like when I was little, I don't know if you ever remember those print shop discs that had like all of this like clip art, and you could make banners and sign. And I loved doing that as a kid. And so right off the bat, I was already doing stuff that was computer based, and so I always enjoyed that. And I've just had kind of a knack for tech stuff and kind of a computer brain. It always has been some sort of digital. Like I taught myself how to make websites for a couple of nonprofits. I was really able to kind of learn a lot while helping out some organizations that gave me the leeway to get a lot of information, a lot of education I didn't have. I taught myself how to do motion graphics, SEO, things like that. So it's just stuff that I just had more and more of an interest in and just kept learning more about. And that was always really fun. After I graduated from St. Thomas, I worked there in admissions as assistant director there. We did a lot of marketing. We did recruiting and flyers and things. So I had a lot of exposure to, traditional print media, we started one of the first blogs that my college did and things like that. So it's always been something fun and interesting for me, but it's always pretty much been rooted digital.
Yeah, makes sense. And then it's interesting to hear the higher ed background. There's obviously, I think the people that we talk to and I've talked to from higher education, they focus a lot on the audience, and they focus a lot on which audience are we actually trying to talk to. Is it a potential new student in the admissions process, or is it a current student? Is it faculty? Is it something else? So it seems like it will tee up a career path in marketing successfully, even with the graphic background, like thinking through audiences.
Yeah, absolutely. So I remember going to a conference in Las Vegas about social media, like the budding realm of social media, what it was like, and came back with this idea of having blogs that our students would write and talk about their experience. And people are like, no one's ever going to read these, and now look at, how much of our content is all reality based, and we want to have that experience and to understand what people are doing and what life actually is like instead of kind of a packaged, preset, stale message. We want to hear it from the students or the people that are going through it. And that's a lot of what we do at Blaze too is, our testimony commercials are really popular. They're noticeable. Our CEO, Dan Stoltz, drives around in a 1952 pickup called Archie and goes around and meets partners and members and they share their experience about Blaze and they're unscripted. A lot of times it's the first time that he's meeting them and those are genuine conversations. We've had them for years and years and they really resonate with people because they actually hear from people and hear about their experience from Blaze instead of just not like kind of a packaged ad.
Makes sense. In Blaze is everywhere. We're both sitting here in downtown Minneapolis, and I'm sure while we're having this conversation, a Blaze branded bus we drive by past several Blaze billboards on in here. So it's really well known when it's merged. Maybe just to fill in the audience a little bit, Blaze is a credit union. Tell us a little bit about what that means.
Yeah. So the name Blaze itself is only 10 months old. The brand Blaze came from the merger of Spire Credit Union and Highway Credit Union, both Minnesota-based credit unions. So that was a huge undertaking for us, and to do it in a relatively short amount of time. We wanted to make sure that people understood that we aren't new. Both credit unions have been around since the 1930s, and that people put that connection together that this is a new brand. It's a new way that we're moving forward, but we've been rooted in this community for so long. We use all sorts of different resources. So like you mentioned, the buses, the billboards, TV, whether you're traditional network television watcher, there, you stream music or video. We're also there, social media. So we try and be wherever our consumer is at. We like to say that we look big, but act small. So like when you still come to the branch, you still get that one-on-one attention. But branding is really important to us and we take it really seriously.
Right. How do you think about, like, clearly there's a web component, there's a website component. Maybe the question is, what is the team that you're interacting with, the team that's working on digital as well as beyond? It seems like there must be some complexity in the mixing and the digital and probably email and member communication and so forth. Any way that you could describe how you all are organized to like manage all those emails and all those pieces?
Yeah. So we brought our two marketing departments together that were from Star and Highway and created our marketing communications department. So I oversee our digital team. There's 4 of us. And then there are folks that are focused more on communications, community marketing, events, partnerships. So we all work really together on campaigns. We're the group in the office that loves to come in because we just collaborate better when we're in person and we know what campaigns people like. So we're going to do this in digital, we're going to do this in traditional media, we're going to do this, out of home, whatever it might be. So we all work really closely together. I'm really fortunate that digital team, when I started, I was a team of 1 and kind of had to convince the rest of the credit union. Digital is important. This is why. And now digital is so kind of intertwined into everything that we do. So we've come a long way, even just within the last 7 years. And then we have partners that help us. And so we do a mix of in-house stuff where we do a lot of our own social media ads. All of our social media content is done in-house. But then we have a couple of media partners that help us with our buying and getting our name out there. Cludo's one of those great partners that helps us and really did help us, with our transition, building a website from scratch and making sure that the content was readily available, making sure that people could find it if they wanted to hit that search button or they're navigating through the site. I want to make sure that people could get the information that they needed.
I'd love to unpack the merger from a digital perspective a bit, and you just alluded to it. I can't help myself. Like, walk us through the path. How long ago did it start? What were the milestones?
Yeah, so the milestones were fast. So a year ago, July was about when our associates at both credit unions found out that there was a potential merger coming. The legacy Highway members actually voted to join. And so that was in September. And then the brand wasn't announced officially until mid-November. So we were working in the background. That, a complete website redo is probably a good 10-month project. We had 5. And 2.5 to 3 months ago, we were working with our website partner, working on, this is the infrastructure. This is all the things that kind of end up doing last minute normally on a website project needed first. So all of the custom data tables that we were doing, how we wanted it laid out, we knew we would have checking accounts, we knew we would have credit cards, those types of things. Luckily, we at least could kind of start putting into place. But yeah, it was a frantic winter in the holidays of finally having the brand, the name, the colors, building the templates, and then putting the content together. And we were working really closely with you all to get our search all set up and making sure that it was, again, easy to find. We didn't have the luxury of being able to present the website to our members before it kind of went live, right? And so it needed to be useful and needed to have a good user experience right off the bat. It was tough. On top of that, we were doing intranet. We were rebuilding our YouTube channels, all of the things. So we just had to go through a lot of stuff to kind of build that brand. We learned a lot along the way. Along the line. Yeah.
Are there things that if somebody was going to go for that, go through that process, any things that you learn that you advice you give?
Give yourself time, but that's not always a luxury that you have. Just having a really good team around you and really bringing a lot of voices up front so that you don't find the pitfalls when it's too late, right? We were really lucky that on both sides we had really strong people that we knew kind of the vision that we wanted, and so we moved through it pretty quickly. That was really great.
Yeah. It is a team effort. What do you think about like the strengths of what makes for a good team when it comes to digital marketing and managing a website? What are some of the attributes that you think your team has, or the things that are important?
Yeah. I look at our team now, and there's so many similarities, but also a lot of differences. And so what we do is we build positions around people typically. So we look at the skill set, the talents, and also what they want to learn and what they want to develop. We kind of build positions around more of a person that we need a website person, media content person. Like, let's kind of figure out, how we can disperse the duties across. I think providing an environment where people feel comfortable sharing ideas and empowered to say, like, hey, what about this? And let's talk it through. And maybe it's not something that we pursue now, but let's talk it through and figure out like how we could accomplish this later. Just having open conversation and having people from different backgrounds and skills, it helps a lot, so that you're looking through it through the lens of a potential member or visitor to the site or to our digital channels. We try and think of our member whenever we're building something or creating something, like, how is this going to be perceived, or how is this useful? We talk a lot about user experience, and we want to make sure that it's a positive one.
Yeah, makes sense. What are the most important keys that people do on your website from a customer or a potential customer standpoint? Do you have a set of those that you're really optimizing for, so to speak?
Yeah, so we typically think of 3 kind of groups of people. So, the main purpose of our site is to be a marketing site, to bring people in to the credit union, communicate what we do, communicate how we're different, and why we're going to take care of them. But there's also our members come to our site to log into their digital banking. And we try and catch them and say, hey, what's new? Like, how can we deepen our relationship with you? Or how can we help better your life in ways that we haven't thought of? And so there's also that aspect to marketing to our current members about, staying with us and kind of knowing about everything that we do. A lot of people first encounter us as a credit union because they got a car loan through us when they went to the dealership, and they just kind of ended up with us. So then we have a job of talking about who we actually are and kind of introducing us after the fact. Think about, is this information helpful to all of these different types of people that are visiting the site, and is it done in a way that's quick and easy and useful?
Related to that, I'm always curious around when there's different audiences. There's all sorts of things you could do. Obviously, you've been in Royal this brand transition and a bunch of other transitions digitally as a result of that. How do you prioritize what to do next? How do you pick? It feels like marketing is endless in terms of what you
Well, yeah, especially digital marketing, technology changes every day. And so to me, there's new opportunities. Just when you feel like, oh, I've mastered something, they're like, now there's AI, now there's this, now there's that, like there's all these different things that you do have to prioritize. Unfortunately, you don't have an endless digital marketing budget. And so you kind of have to figure out like what's going to provide not only great brand recognition for us, but is it going to be useful? Is it going to be something that really provides a good experience for our members or our prospective members? We really look closely at that. But yeah, it really comes down to, does this fill a need, and is it going to really provide a good experience for our members?
like optimizing for that.
Yeah, not just doing it because it's fun, especially when everyone else is doing it. Like, is it really going to bring value?
Yeah, makes sense. And then I guess related to that, I think this is one thing that we hear repeatedly is there are certainly ways that you can measure experience, you can measure outcomes. Is there a way that you're thinking about that in terms of like if the goal is great digital experiences for your customers, even if they don't know the brand yet, if they're getting to know the brand, if they've been a customer for years, how do you measure whether things are getting better, or how do you optimize for measurement? I guess
We do a lot with different ways that we tag our website so that we know if people are clicking on our join now button or our sign up button, booking an appointment, those types of things. Those are the three big call to actions on our site that we really look at. So we look really closely at those conversions and how quickly people are finding them, how easy it is. When we redid the website, that was one of our big focuses, is to make sure it was easy. So we're constantly looking at that. We do probably have more information on our website than others may. And so how we balance that is that we put our call to action right at the top. Then we focus right on the benefits. And so if you're looking at comparing us to other financial institutions, you know exactly where we stand. And then if you want more information about our products, you can scroll down and learn more. But we want that information on the site so that people understand what we're about. Finances is a personal thing. And especially if you don't have strong credit or if you've had issues in the past, that can be kind of a vulnerable thing. So hit that find out button and make sure you're going to be taken care of and if you're going to be approved. And so we want to try and help people and explain it just as if you were going to come into the branch and talk to someone about your finances one-on-one.
Right. Yeah. With this whole the brand and the marketing transition, anything you're really pleased with that you have source of pride on? Like we did quick accomplishment, especially like how would you describe that? Because we got through it. It's like that's like accomplishment.
No, looking back, and so we're kind of in that year, kind of that anniversary of when we were really working hard on all of the brand stuff. And you look back and like, how did we do it all? It's just it feels like a fever dream. So I'm really proud of our team that we were able to accomplish so much in such a small amount of time and deliver on a good experience. One of the things when we looked at our site is we really wanted to convey how we are different, how we approach our values and our goals. And so when we talk about our values at Blaze, our core purpose is to better lives. Our core value is to be thoughtfully compassionate and be Minnesota's best is our vision, and give back is our core action. So we wanted to make sure that those were alive in our website, that you understood that. The way we designed the website is we built 4 hubs. And so the website will actually change based on what you're really looking for. So personal accounts, business accounts, investments, and then we included community as a hub. And so we wanted to make sure that people understood how financial wellness is important to us. We want people to be empowered about their finances. That shouldn't be a scary thing. And then also how we show up in the community and how we can actually support them. People can request our help for their nonprofits that they're excited about or their causes that they're excited about. We really wanted to make sure that that was front and center, and how we talk about our products as well. Just as if you were to come into a branch, our associates in our branches are amazing, and first thing they want to do when someone comes into a branch is hear about the story. They want to hear about what their goals kind of their plans, how they want to go on their path, before we even talk about opening a credit card or a loan or whatever. So we wanted that feel on the website as well, not just to talk about like, yeah, we have credit cards, but these are the benefits. This is why you would want to use this card. This is why a free checking account is great here. And so the way we talk about things is really focused on as well.
Yeah, super interesting. The community aspect is one that comes very clearly through the brand that exists for Blaze and exists for other previous brands as well. I guess from your perspective, is there a trend happening there? I know generally credit unions serve a pocket of the community in terms of financial services that are very special, unique, and positioned in a way that is community focused to a certain degree generally. How does Blaze think about where community goes from here? Is there a future trend that you're seeing, maybe in particular tying it back to the digital? Is the community clamoring for more? Like, thinking about community goal?
Yeah, we think about it a lot. And so for people who don't know what a credit union is, so a credit union is a financial institution, just like, banks or fintechs or whatever. But when you join a credit union, you become a member owner. So you actually own a piece of the credit union. And so we bring that back to our members with lower credit card rates, loan rates, things like that, and then a lot of other benefits as well. And so we're immediately focused on the community. We are based in Minnesota. We have 28 branches from way up in Kewaunee, Minnesota, by hitting ground to Waseca, and our branches are really part of the community. So we really focus on that. And it really comes from the top down. Our CEO, Dan Stoltz, talks all about being a net giver, not a net taker. And so that's embedded in our core action. And so we think about that a lot, and especially we do convey that in the digital space on our social media particularly. We actually have Facebook pages for every single one of our branches. We can push content specific to that branch. And so when our Coon Rapids branch is in the Halloween parade, we'll have photos and people will love that. Or, when we do grand openings or help different nonprofits in the area, like, people love seeing that content that always gets the most engagements on our social media channels. And it's often a lot of times why people are members of Blaze. For a lot of us, that's why we work there. Yeah. And I think that is a trend. I think you're seeing it in larger financial institutions as well, as getting more involved in the community. So they're acting smaller. And so I think that is a trend of just making sure that we're part of the community, we're giving back, that people understand that we're here and that we care.
Yeah, it makes sense. And it is the hyper localness of it, I think, here in Minnesota, it really does make a difference. I can imagine the affinity that someone might have to their local branch because of that presence in that parade or whatever the event is. I would imagine that actually goes quite a long way. Contrast that with a big bank that you might see a Super Bowl ad for. The different in terms of that relationship.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Really interesting. Okay, you've mentioned AI a couple times. Every writer that I've talked to, at least, is using AI, is navigating what this is going to mean in terms of at least two areas. One is how to use AI for analyzing things, and then using AI for generating content, analysis, content generation in AI. But for you, you've got a unique community that you've built, and you've got we print in. We seem to be talked about AI. What's your take on it right now?
Yeah, in some ways we've been using AI for a long time, and probably the ways that people talk about it most, now we're just getting our feet wet. We use it now in a way that augments our work or augment our service. If you go to our website, we have a chatbot that will answer, simple questions about, what are your hours? Do you have credit cards? Stuff like that. But then you can link to a person, like chat person, or even do video, right? And so it is helpful from the standpoint of our contact center, our member experience center is able to focus on bigger questions from members, because our AI chat is kind of handling the easier questions, right? And just get the information they need. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of predictive modeling within our membership to see like what products or services they might want to hear more about, and ways that we can help them better manage their money. We always want to be grounded and focused that we're going to provide an authentic experience. And so we're not looking to go way out there and have a digital person that isn't real or putting words in people's mouths or anything like that. It's always going to help us with the ground idea, but the creativity to work will always be people-based, and we're always going to provide one-on-one attention, and we're always going to like people to talk to. And so it's definitely figuring out that balance. And I think the first thing is just not being afraid of it and willing to learn more about it. And that's kind of where we're at right now.
It's me, what it's echoing is the theme of you have a brand promise that is relationship based to a certain degree. Not taking that away, but actually accelerating it and making more space for it. That's one of the things that we see as having, like you described, the straightforward answers answered by AI or some sort of experience that can do that well, and then being able to engage with the human being, irreplaceable, real, intelligent human being that can answer questions or build a relationship with the brand.
Right. Yeah, and I think what's interesting is one of the trends that we are seeing is that yes, with all the digital benefits, all the digital features that you could get anywhere else, you want to be able to manage your finances on the go wherever you want, but we're seeing a trend though of people that really, when it comes down to figuring out the finance, they want to talk to a person and really someone that they know and feel comfortable with. I think that value is not necessarily making a comeback, but I think it's becoming stronger and stronger where it needs to be a balance. And so we're committed to adding at least 2 branches a year for the rest of this decade. And so we're really investing in the communities. We're not pulling out of communities. So we're finding that balance of providing great digital experience, but also that one-on-one relationship.
Yeah, makes sense. This has been really, really good. I always like to give people a chance to do 2 things. Where can people find Blaze? Learn more about it, especially here in Minnesota. Anything to plug or beyond Blaze?
Sure, yeah. Of course. We talked a lot about the website. It's blazecu.com. We have 28 branches throughout Minnesota. Like I said, we're Minnesota-based. And we have a number of branches within the Twin Cities, but again, they're all over Minnesota. And yeah, encourage people to come in, whether you come online or come into the branch, learn more about us and find out how we're different. And we try and make it as easy as possible to make that transition. So
Gotcha. The other thing that I always like to ask people like yourself that have all this experience and all these things that you've learned and taught other people, who else should we have on a show like this? Like who was like someone that you maybe look at as someone that's getting it right, whether it's digital marketing, your brand, or just a community? Pick your.
Oh man, that's a great question. Being a Minnesota boy, I stick with the Minnesota teams and companies, but I always look towards targeting a brand so intertwined with Minnesota and does such a great job of that user experience and bringing that like store feel onto your phone. Right? They do a great job. We were partners with Minnesota United, and they do the same thing on social where even if you're not at the game, you feel that energy, you feel that vibe from their digital channels. They do a great job. And so like learning more about digital marketing and strengthening fan base too.
Yeah. It's super interesting. I think the Target one is a great example of a brand that continues to innovate and continues to push things forward. It's interesting from your perspective to know that brands like that push the envelope in terms of the digital experience, that actually applies everywhere.
Yeah.
As if, you go to one website, you don't flip into, okay, now I'm Blaze, I'm going to lower my expectations. The expectations go up.
Right. And everyone just kind of wants to shop. And so you want to feel like, I'm going to add a credit card to my account. I'm going to add a checking account and check out. And I want it all set and easy. I want to use it today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Seamless experiences, just like you described before. Super interesting. Brian Thomas, thanks again for joining us here on Cludo Masters of Podcast. Really fun conversation. You can find Brian and the team on the Blaze website. I'm sure you're available on social media. If anyone has any questions, thanks again for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.